Alright, this is take two. Welcome back to my channel. So, some of you may have noticed that I haven't been around for a while, and the reason for that was, as I stated in the last odds and end video that I posted, that I was working on another model, and it was this one over here, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Great model. Now, I am, or was working on that one for a very, very long time. Been over 2 months, as a matter of fact. And I keep on adding things to it. I'm making a full room diorama. It's going to be, you know, lit up, and a whole bunch of things I've been adding to that model, and it's coming along great. But it's taking a long time. And what I needed to do, reluctantly, was stop working on that and work on this. Now, this is because this is for a group build. The yearly Deformed group build, co-hosted by Tommy at Colonel Reb's Scale Models, and Dan, HobbyTime with PapaDan, his YouTube channel. So I built last year another World War Toon tank, and I had a lot of fun with that group build. And right there and then I said, you know, if I can get myself another tank or something else, you know, appropriate for that Deformed group build, I was going to join again. And I bought this many months ago for this explicit, you know, intent to build it for the group build. So again, I'm going to reluctantly put aside this Hyde for a while and work on this, because this is supposed to be built during the month of September, and we are the 15th of September, already halfway through the month, and I haven't touched it. Actually, what I've done is I've only opened up the box over here. So I'm going to be building this German heavy tank, a King Tiger with a Porsche turret. Apparently there's 2 turrets on these things. Now, if you see, you know, last year I built a little Sherman tank, and what I did was I made a little small diorama, basically a little diorama on a dollar store picture frame. And my intent is to do the exact same thing with this one over here. They'll be kind of like complementary dioramas that when you put them together, it looks like a nice little scene, you know, German American tank. And I picked up this one, and they're kind of hard to get, at least around here. But I really like this one over here because it's got this blue-gray tinge over here. So let's take a quick peek inside. Now, another, you know, rule that I'm breaking with building this model over here is that the last model I built as a video was the Tamiya tank, the Panzer. And this is going to be another tank. Again, I didn't intend to do that. I didn't hope to do that, but it is what it is. You'll get 2 tanks in a row. So you can thank me for that. Now, again, I just opened it up before. Want to make sure everything was okay. These things have these rubber tracks. This one is not as detailed as the one on the Sherman, but I was able to basically make track line in the mud by putting it in the base. I think I was using grout at that time. And I intend to do the same with this one, but I already can see that it's not as detailed, so I'm not sure if that's going to work out. But you can see here, just like the other kit, they're very nice. They go together extremely well, like no issues really. I think I had one small issue, but that was really the injection molding last time I built it. So hopefully I won't have that. But from the parts point of view, these things go together really nice. And they're fairly simple. They're not that complex. And I really like that, you know, the blue-gray, as this is kind of molded in that color. And because I'm so far behind, I might also break yet another rule where I may not paint it, at least the base paint. I may leave this as the base and just weather it. I'll have to see, you know, how it goes once I start putting this thing together, if I can get away with that. I know it's a cheat. I'm sorry, but I really, you know, my intent was to make it this kind of color anyhow. So again, there's a few parts, not too many. They go together well, and they look really clean. And there's just a few decals that go with it. The instructions on these things, again, they're very clear. and they're not too complex. And the background on this, if you go back to that Sherman video tank I made last year for this group build, you can see the history of these tanks. They're from a video game, World War Toons video game. So I'm not going to go over that again. So again, very, very simple. Just a few pages, and I've got 2 weeks to finish it. Let's see if I can do it. All right, a quick update over here. As you can see, I started building certain parts of the tank, more or less the ones that have the same color that can go together, and I think I can still get away with using this as a base color. Now, what I have done is primed the parts that are really different colors that need to be painted separately. And like the tow ropes, the hammer, the some of the tracks, the spare tracks, and the pipes. And the only issue I've run into so far with the kit is this little hatch over here where it really doesn't close at all. You can see little gaps around it. Not the end of the world, but I was kind of disappointed where everything else fit so well, and I just can't get that in. I played around a bit. It just, you know, this is the part, this is the way it goes, and that's it. So that'll have to be left alone as is. Now, I mentioned earlier on that for the Sherman Toon tank, I went and got a dollar store picture frame over here. And I went back to see if I can get the very, very same one, and I couldn't get that one. That one was white. Now this one is almost the same dimensions. I think it's a little bit higher or a little bit wider, something like that, but very, very similar. And again, the intent is to put them side by side. Now, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to put a piece of dense foam, and that'll form the base for the terrain that I'm going to be building on. But this Tiger tank, they were actually much bigger in scale to other tanks during the war. I don't know what scale these Toon tanks are, but this one is bigger than the Sherman. So you can see it pretty much takes up the whole area, especially, we think the turret's going to be up here. It's going to take up pretty much the whole base anyhow. So there's not going to be much terrain building as I did with the Sherman. I don't think I'm even going to bother putting in those fake tracks because you won't have much to see anyhow because of the positioning of the tank itself once it's done. But that's still the plan. I think they'll still look nice, one going across the other. Now, in terms of the weathering, I'll be using paints. I'll be using, washes, dry brushing, and what have you, but I'm also going to be using some of this stuff. Now, I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos where you can actually build a rusty gunk that can be applied with a brush, and it's very, very simple. What you just take is steel wool, put it in a container, not metal, especially the cover, learned that the hard way, and you put some vinegar in there, and again, it starts to break down the steel wool and make rust. Basically, this is all going to rust out. Now, this is only after 2 days. I'm taking a pictorial to see day 1, day 2 to see how fast this breaks down. I can't remember when I made a batch long ago, but it does take some time, so do it as early. And I just realized when I was building this I needed another batch. But you can see how it becomes kind of like a gunk over here. Now see, that's more metal because I just flipped it earlier before, and it'll take some time, but again, after a while, this will be something that you can apply with a brush, and it's real rust. Now, I mentioned I made a batch long ago, and this is the result. So even though this was, a sealed plastic container, there is some, air leak, and this breaks, continued to break down until it was completely dried, but this is just fine rust, and you see you can break it down into like a fine powder. So this is still usable. All you have to do is put something that will make this adhere to the model, or you can apply it gently and then put some sort of a clear coat on it, a matte clear coat, and it'll keep it in there. So don't throw this stuff away. This is still usable, and I'll see if I can use it some of both on this model itself. And maybe I'll have to, because I don't know how long it's going to take for this to break down. And again, I am on a deadline. I've got still a few more days left to get this in for the group build. So That's the update there. And now I get back to building. All right, so the tank is pretty much done over here, as you can see. Few issues with the kit that I was kind of disappointed with. One thing I forgot to mention the first time around in the last segment was that I actually bore out that little gun hole over there. Can't remember what drill bit size I use, but it can be done, and I think it, just even though it's a little thing, it adds a little more realism. But anyhow, getting back to the model itself. So one of the issues I had was with these little decals over here, and basically a lot of them are off center, and sometimes it doesn't matter if it's just one color, but if it's two colors like these iron cross over here, you can see that one side you'll have the white and the other you don't have on the edges. And there was a few others like that, especially again here, this one, you can see that it doesn't quite match up. Now, had I known this before, I would have cut that white off. So something to keep in mind if you have this exact kit or other iron crosses is to look for that and maybe chop it off as you go along. But I didn't want to do it once the decal was off the decal sheet to try to cut it. A little bit again on the red over here, but not as much. And here was actually probably the worst one, but it ended up being covered by the tow cable. So not too bad. Anyhow, what I did is for a lot of this stuff, again, I used brasses and bronzes to give some color. And where that really worked really well was these exhaust tubes over here, where basically I did the brass on the bottom and then kind of blended it into the copper, and then it blended it in with the black, and it really looks like the color transition from heat, like exhaust pipes on a motorcycle. Not quite the same, but again, it is kind of like that. So I really liked that aspect of it. Then for the weathering, I did a few things. I did some brown panel line accents to begin with the Tamiya panel line accent colors, and then I used the technique where I saw you can use like little foam bits to basically apply paints. Sorry, not foam, as a sponge. And what I just took was one of these dollar store sponges, dishwashers, and had a little bit. And then what I did was I mixed these two colors over here, which, depending on what the ratio is, it comes out almost exactly that color. And it's they're both Vallejo Model Airs. One's a dark gray blue, which again is very close to that. And then I added light blue, one of the RLM colors to it. And when I did about a 50-50 mix, I saw it was almost exactly that. And what I wanted really was something a little bit lighter. So I just added a bit more to get the right color, so that it's just a bit lighter than that. Now that technique didn't work out as well for me as I thought. Basically, you can see I went around the edges over here, and it's supposed to be kind of like when you have scratches on a tank or bumps, and you can see it, but I just found that this sponge wasn't spongy enough, if you want to call it that. So I ended up with a lot of solids when I really wanted just like light flaking. And I did, dry this off on a towel first or a rag to get a lot of the paint off, thinking that was okay. Again, it works, but it wasn't as nice as I thought. What really worked well is you can see there's some rust streaks over here. And for that, all I did was use some oil paints over here, burnt umber, and just, put little dots, with a toothpick or whatever I had handy. I can't remember. I think it was just a toothpick. Put little dots, especially where there's going to be flow. And then with a damp, very soft brush over here, I just, streaked it down. A lot of videos showing how that technique works. And that worked really well. Again, I tend to not weather enough, and again, I think that's the case over here, where I should have done more weathering. But you can really see those rust streaks up close, and they look really nice. Now, I'm not quite finished with the weathering over here. Now that the tank is done, I'll be working on the base, and then I'll be using some Vallejo pigments over here, and then sealing it all in with a ultra matte from Vallejo. I got a whole bunch of this stuff. Really, there was somebody on Facebook, tons of stuff for peanuts, And I would not have bought these pigments had I known, I mean, I would not have bought them had it not been for that great deal I had. So I just really want to try it out. So this is my chance, and going to be using that. And then doing, there's some techniques where you can build up some mud and, do it yourself mud. Basically, I can't remember what, sawdust, PVA, and, brown paints mixed in. So I'm going to probably try that and when I put it on the base. Before I get talked about the base, though, I want to say that I did have actually some problems putting this kit together, unlike the other Meng Toon tank I had. First of all, when I put the big top chassis onto the bottom, it was a case where, if you push one side down, the other would pop up. You push this side, the other pop up. And this went on incessantly. I could not figure it out. Eventually, I did get it to settle. But there's still, if you look really, really closely, you can't probably see it here, but there's a little gap over there. It wasn't a perfect fit. And then the almost last piece I put is this backing plate over here. And again, that really was hard to get in place and to stay. Again, this is supposed to be a snap kit where you just snap things together, but I had to do some sanding to get it in so that it would fit properly, and it's still not 100%, but very, very close now. So I'm happy with that, but I was surprised that it wasn't a perfect fit as the other kit was. Now about the base. So I did something different this time. I've used, grout and mortar and a whole bunch of things to make bases before. And again, this is just the frame. And this is the dense foam that I used as a base that's going to go in the frame. Now, what I have over here is, it was actually, again, another Facebook find where somebody was getting rid of tile grout. At least that's what they called it, fast drying tile grout. But I looked at the bag, and I got a whole bag of this stuff for free, and it says it's a grout replacement, and this stuff is very, very, very light. Now, because I wanted some texture, when I mixed up in the batch, it was, not thick at all. It was very, liquidy, if you want to call it that. And I just plopped it on over here, mushed it around a bit, and it's great. Like, there's a lot of texture over here. It's very solid. I was surprised at, how much texture I can get. Now, I didn't do any tracks or anything like that. I said I'm not going to worry about that. But now that I have it here, I might try, because it's so, bumpier than I thought, which I do like. I might still try to go in and etch out some tracks, if it's necessary, but I'll see. But again, now what's going to happen here, of course, I'm going to be painting it, putting in some leaf litter, putting in some static grass, and just make a little diorama for this thing as it sits on top. And we're almost there. And just like that, it's done. So, very happy with it. A lot of work done since the last segment, although it was all done in one day, basically building the base. So let me talk about the base. So first of all, I took that rigid foam and I gave it a primer of Vallejo gray, and then afterwards I used my airbrush, which I should be using for bases from now on because it makes a big difference rather than using craft paints directly. And I gave this folk art linen over here as a base on that, right on the primer. And then what I started doing was giving it, like, this was all over the place, and then after I started adding a little bit at a time some burnt umber to make that paint a little darker, and I put a little here, a little there, and then a little darker, a little here, a little there, and build it up that way so I had a non-uniform color, which really made a big difference. Now, after that, what I did is I used a little cat litter kind of in the tracks. Oh, I should mention that I did gouge out the tracks, or from beginning to end, where the track line was, as if there were a bunch of tanks in front and back. And I kind of made a little gouge just so that it would be, sitting still and even. And along those tracks, I just put a little cat litter in there, again with PVA glue. Let that glue harden, After that, what I did was I used the static grass, as you can see over here. Not too much, just, in certain areas and not everywhere where, there wasn't other things. And after that, added a little few rocks, a little bark, some leaf litter over here. Just pieces of bark, keep them handy. By the way, you should go out right now. It's springtime. Get your leaves so you'll have different colors to make your leaf litter. Did that the other day. And again, I did a little research before building it to see, what's the history of this tank. And I don't want to get into specifics, but it wasn't actually very used a lot. All these, Tigers came in at the end of the war, and especially this particular turret over here. But I did some research, and even the King Tiger itself didn't see that much action because it was at the end of the war. They were involved with Leningrad, offensive. So I just said I'd put a little sign in there to say, Leningrad this way, kind of like what I did with the previous Toon tank group build. And that was it. Really happy with it. Now, I didn't do any mudding. The reason I didn't want to do mudding is because really, if I do the mudding, it should have been done right along, on the base itself, not just on the tank. And I thought it would just stand out weird if it was just on the tank. And I didn't want to go back and put it on the base after having such a nice base. So I said, skip that. It's a Toon tank. We'll do that mudding technique another time. But what I did use is one of the pigments over here. And I must say, I'm very impressed with this pigment over here. As you can see, I put it mainly for the rust effect along the wheels, and a little bit all over the tank. Not all over, a few certain spots over the tank. What I found is this makes some great rust. This is burnt sienna as a pigment. And also what it did is it took a little sheen off of all these decals where it was a little brighter. Actually, I missed that decal. I got to go put in some of this stuff on there. And you can see that even here, it makes a difference on the decal. So I was very surprised. It really helped make them a little more realistic because it takes away the sheen from the decal. So I only used a little bit of this stuff just to try it out really, but I will be using more of this in the future. So this whole thing, beginning to end, just the building part, including the model and the base, was basically 5 days, which is kind of a record for me. But as I mentioned, I wanted to get this one done so I can get back to the Jekyll and Hyde that I've been working on for so long. And I want to finish this on time, so I'm well ahead of schedule now. For the group build. So again, I want to thank Tommy, Colonel Reb, and PapaDan for, again, hosting this group build. It's a lot of fun. They mentioned something about how they want to host it again this year just so that they can get their, modeling mojo back. And I hope they do. And again, it was a nice, switching gears for me to get back to this. Although, again, it's the second tank in a row that you'll see as a video. So thanks again for watching, and the next one shouldn't be too long because it's really, the model is done. It's just finishing off the